YouTube, it's Kathy, happy Bookmas. Earlier this month I made a video where I talked about book series that I've listened to as audiobooks and that I would highly recommend. Today I'm going to talk about standalone books in case you don't want to commit yourself to listening to an entire series. So basically I went through my 50 book pledge page, went, okay, what did I listen to as an audiobook? Is it a standalone? And did I enjoy it for a particular reason? From there I plucked out 9 titles that I'm going to share with you. Basically I tricked myself into making a list, which I'm generally terrible at. Last year I listened to Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, and I really enjoyed it. Shonda Rhimes is the lead of a production company called Shondaland, which puts out some great television, all of which I've watched since listening to this book. I mean, I'm not caught up on certain things because they're not on Netflix yet, but whatever. This is a nonfiction book where she goes through an entire year where she said yes to opportunities. And sometimes it's really hard to say yes to things. Sometimes there are things you don't really want to do and you have to make a line and you have to figure out why you don't want to do the things. So I remember giggling along to some of the things that were happening. Another nonfiction audiobook I absolutely adore is Dewey. This book is so dang cute, and if you ever want to, just be crying in public while you walk down the street to work because you're listening to an audiobook about a cat, this is the one. There was one point near the end of the book where I was about to go in to get coffee on my way to work and I had to stop the audiobook and give myself a second and then go get my coffee because I didn't want them to be like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm reading an audiobook about a cat and it's so good. That's probably the thumbnail for this. That was probably a great face. A more recent book I enjoyed was Midnight at the Electric. I included this in one of my weekly entertainment wrap-ups a couple of weeks ago, but basically this story becomes a story within a story, and then also a story within a story within a story. So you have 3 narrators, and it's 3 different voice actresses, and I just really enjoyed the experience of switching between them. This next one I haven't actually read, but I know the voice that would be reading it, and I enjoyed the book when I read it with my eyeballs, so I'm counting it, and that's Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. The thing about this audiobook is it's only available from my library as CDs, not as a digital download, and my computer doesn't have a disk drive, so I can't listen to them that way. So yeah, I had to read a physical copy. That being said, everyone who's mentioned this book is like, please listen to the audiobook. These are stories from Trevor's actual life growing up in South Africa, and I can only assume that his voice brings that much more to the text. The next book I'd like to point out is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, and besides it just being an absolutely wonderful, adorable book full of diversity and representation, it is narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so right there. The next book I read about a month ago, and it was Stranger Than Fanfiction by Chris Colfer. This one is narrated by the author. In this novel, there's kind of a Chris Colfer stand-in, and it makes you wonder how much of this weird celebrity life he has experienced himself and how much he's just made up. An audiobook I got from the library on the release day of the book and listened to all that day was Turtles All the Way Down. This is an excellent way to consume this book because the narrator is so great. There are sections of this book where it goes into second person because basically Aza's brain is telling her to do things that she really shouldn't be doing, and she's caught in these thought spirals. It was just such a fantastic performance. My second to last recommendation for this list is Landline by Rainbow Rowell. There was just something so emotive about the narrator's voice in this book. There's just so much going on in this protagonist's life. It's the holidays, she was supposed to be going back to Nebraska with her husband to visit his family with their daughters, and work keeps her from doing that, and she's just missing them so much. And then from there you have this magical element of the landline in her room from when she was a child. Basically, the narrator is great, and that's why I enjoyed this as an audiobook. And my last recommendation is not for the faint of heart. It is smut. Quite literally. So this book has a dual narration, a female protagonist, a male protagonist, and it is about them writing erotica together. It's kind of a hate-to-love romance. And of course, listening to this, especially in public transit when other people don't know what you're listening to, can be quite a journey. Plus, occasionally you just want to punch the male lead in the face because he's being that much of a jerk. And then there's other times where you're like, I feel really bad for the paperback she is biting down on right now. That's it for now. Have you listened to any of these books? If so, let me know down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you tomorrow for more Bookmas. Bye.